Hey guys, it's your girl Alex, aka the Mindful Mermaid, and today I am doing my first YouTube Q&A. I've been dabbling in YouTube videos for about the past year, but I haven't really done any where I'm behind the camera myself, so I figured this would be a good time to just ask away any questions that you have about me, and I will answer them. So without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so Caitlin from New York asks, did you move around with your parents or by yourself? So I mentioned this on my Instagram, but I said by the age of 24, I've lived in 6 cities in 4 countries. And this was all by myself. This was all after I turned 18. Up until 18, I lived in the suburbs of St. Paul, Minnesota. And then after that, I moved to Chicago. I did an internship for a summer and I was in Duluth, so now we're at 3 cities. I studied abroad in Nice, France, and then I went and studied abroad again in Dubrovnik, Croatia, where I actually ended up and am now. And then the 6th city was last year in 2017. I went and I worked in Cork, Ireland for 1 year. So that's 6 cities and 4 countries. Yeah, and this was all done on my own, which I'm pretty proud of. I think what I'm most proud of is the fact that, like, you know, I was always that kid at the sleepovers up until I was like 15, honestly, that, like, you know, would get homesick and call their mom at 10:30 because I just was so attached to my little bubble of comfort. And now I've become someone where I'm just, you know, I'm constantly expanding my comfort zone. So I think if I can become a globetrotter coming from that, really anyone can. Okay, Ophelia from France and Sophie from England. I combined this question because it's similar. What do you love most about traveling? I love experiencing other cultures and I love trying different foods, meeting new people, and I really like that it's kind of a journey of self-discovery, honestly. I know it sounds cliche, but they say travel far enough and you meet yourself, and I think I definitely have. Okay, Sandra from Croatia. How long have you been in Dubrovnik? So I originally came here like almost exactly 3 years ago. It's super trippy because it was like around this date 3 years ago to study abroad. And so then I came back several times because I met my current beau, who is a Croatian local, and Dubrovnik local, and visited several times. And then, like, I was here for an extended period of time after graduation, basically just living the good life, the mermaid life, if you will. And then we left and started working in Ireland together. So accumulative, it's been like a year, but it's been over a span of 3 years, if that makes sense. Okay, Anna from Minnesota says, I love how you talk about the struggles of living abroad and how it's not always so picturesque. Well, when was the first time you really broke down and cried while living abroad? Like basically once a week. No, but the first time was when so after I graduated, I kind of just scrapped my plans of studying to go to law school and working at a law firm, and not that I just like gave up on my dreams, but my dreams changed and I just realized that I wanted time to explore and see the world, because when else am I going to do it? I know that if I got locked into like a really serious 9-to-5 grind or graduate school, like I wouldn't have gone. So initially I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to go abroad for a bit and see what I can figure out. But I think after like the honeymoon stage of the first month, I really broke down, like freaked out majorly, and was like, oh my god, where am I? What am I doing with my life? The first time I didn't really have a plan. It took me some time to kind of figure it out. But in retrospect, I wish I wouldn't have freaked out, because, you know, you have time. You know, you have time to figure things out, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a break from like having a plan and just say, you know, I'm gonna have 3 months, I'm gonna be here, and after that, I'm gonna come up with a new plan. Lena and Bassam, how did you handle the initial fear of moving to Croatia? So like I said, it wasn't like, oh, I'm moving to Croatia for good, see ya, US. It was kind of just like, I'm just gonna go after graduation and I can be there for a bit as on a tourist visa, and I'm just gonna see what happens. Initially, my boyfriend Domenico and I, we were applying to a bunch of traineeships at the European Union. So after we did not succeed, that's kind of when we were like, okay, are we gonna live in Croatia? Or are we gonna go elsewhere? And that's why we went to Ireland, basically. But now that I've come back, after being in a year of Ireland, and I'm kind of going through the legal process of living here permanently, yeah, it is scary. And the initial fear, you know, I just kind of sucked it up and was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it. And I think I had a lot of support from like my inner circle of friends and family that were like, you can come home. It's not like you're like picking up your life and moving there. But I do think it's interesting, regardless if you go abroad or not after graduation, like, or just any time in life, you make a small decision just to do one thing and it creates like a whole ripple effect. And like now here I am, and I've been here living in Europe for like over a year. So it's kind of how it went. Erica from Minnesota asks, how did your daily life change when you moved abroad? Okay, so when I was going to college in Chicago, I went to Loyola, I had a lot of freedom, right? I mean, I was kind of living like the high life, kind of like the high life on a college kid budget, meeting with friends for drinks and going out and working and going to school. So I kind of had like a ton of things going on, although it was exhausting. Like I felt like I had a lot of freedom. When I came and was living here after graduation, it was totally different than when I was studying abroad, because when you're studying abroad, you're like with a bunch of Americans, you're going on trips to other countries every weekend, blah, blah, blah. It was definitely different because I was living and am now currently in my boyfriend's family's apartment where we live together. And although like we have our own space, it's like his parents are living underneath us in a separate flat. And that's just how it goes in Croatia. It's really hard to rent. So it's kind of like adjusting to living back at home. Also, I live in like a village within a village outside of Dubrovnik. And, you know, like I'm looking at the Adriatic Sea right now. I wish I could have had it as a backdrop, but the lighting wasn't as good. You know, and it's just like home alone, slow living, which I like. But it was definitely a huge adjustment. Erica also asked, how does the recycling system work in Croatia? Okay, so basically you can recycle everything except aluminum, which sucks, so I try to avoid buying anything with like an aluminum can. And also they have some system where you can, for each plastic bottle, you get like a few cents. So unfortunately, a lot of people that might not have as much money are like collecting those through the garbage and stuff, which on one hand I think it's good to like, you know, make sure, incentivize getting rid of plastic waste, but on the other hand I see like Croatians, even some of my friends, they'll just like leave their plastic bottles and be like, oh well, someone will come by and pick them up. So I don't know, there's a lot to be said on that topic. I'll have to make a separate video. Janet from Minnesota asks, what common household applications do they not have in Croatia? Dishwashers, yeah, girl, you gotta hand wash everything. Dryers, as in drying your clothes, everything is hang dried outside, which actually I prefer because it's usually makes your clothes last longer. And let's see, I don't know, I don't see a lot of toasters, honestly. I don't think like toast is really a thing. I think I've seen them in some rental apartments though. I don't know. I think that's all I can think of for now. Jess from New York, what visa problems have you run into as a US citizen? Well, so basically like I couldn't stay here in Croatia and there wasn't really any way for me to find work, so that's why I left last year. So I guess you could consider that a visa issue. And then when I was in Ireland, I got a thing called a working holiday visa, which I'm making another YouTube video about. I will link to that when it's done next week. But yeah, so once I got that and I was living there, I like forgot to go back to the station, police station in Ireland, and get this stamp on my passport, even though I registered and everything. And I was coming back from London and I got in trouble. It was just like some little bureaucracy bump, but it was really kind of scary because I was like pulled aside and like everyone else was going through and I was the last one and I was by myself and I was like really scared something was gonna happen, but they were actually really nice about it and I was very glad to be in Ireland and not the US where they're scary as hell. Okay. So, Kelly Maria from Scotland, what brought you to decide to move to Ireland after you graduated? What advice would you have for someone else wanting to live abroad? So as I touched on before, I had a working holiday visa that allowed me to work in Ireland for 1 year. I had to go back to the US and get it, but I wanted to be home for Christmas anyway. So then I met my boyfriend. He's an EU citizen, so he didn't need that. And we moved to Cork. And it was a really good way for me to gain work experience. And like I said, I'm gonna talk more about that in a YouTube video coming up. But advice for other people that want to do the same, I would say, well, it depends on your skill set, right? But like teaching English abroad is a really, really easy way to go anywhere. I would look into different working holiday visa schemes throughout the world. Like in the US, you can get one for Ireland, Australia, and I believe South Korea. Sam from Canada, I'm moving to a place where I know absolutely no one. What tips do you have for connecting and building a community in a new town? Okay, so I would definitely recommend like just going out and trying to make an effort. I know that's very vague, but if there are different events and groups, things happening, like just show up, you know? If there are, let's say, a hiking or a running club, or you're working in some career field and there's an event going on, just show up and just try to network. I also would recommend like different types of Facebook groups. Like you can maybe find like expats living in, I don't know, Montreal type groups. I also think that I haven't used it, but you know the Bumble dating app? Apparently they have that for making friends. But when I was visiting my friend in Geneva, like they would go on these like Bumble dates to meet other girls that they wanted to be friends with. So apparently that's a thing too. But I definitely think like social media, Facebook groups, and just getting out there. Beth from Toronto, what do you miss about home? Okay, so I miss my friends and family, and I also miss food. I definitely miss Thai food and Mexican food the most. Like my best friends from college, they're all kind of from all throughout Central America, so I was really spoiled with like awesome Panamanian or like Mexican authentic cuisine, and we would go to a lot of places throughout Chicago, and you can't get that here. It's like some Tex-Mex terrible situation. But yeah, that's like one thing I really miss. Andel from Miami, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, so this has become clear to me in the past year, and before that I had absolutely no idea. So previously I saw myself as like some environmental lawyer and I don't know, working for like United Nations Environmental Program or something. But I really kind of honed in on that I'm pretty good at digital marketing and I like it, and I would like to have my own business doing something related. I've been also doing a bit of freelance writing and just got published in Matador Network, one of my articles. So I would like to see myself, you know, published in the New York Times at some point. And you know, I just want to have fun and do something that I love, and I want to just find a way to do my own thing and you know, just be happy wherever I am. So, and maybe that will be Croatia. We will see. Sammy from Minnesota, when are you coming home? Never. No, hopefully in the summer, so I will see you then. Beth from North Carolina, how do you stay productive when all you want to do is explore? Well, I'm a huge advocate for like block work. You know, I also have a planner where I'll kind of write out like, okay, for, you know, from 8 to 10 this morning, I'm gonna work on this, and then I'm gonna work from 10 to 12 on this, and then take a break at this point. Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for like taking breaks as kind of a way to increase productivity. I also think it's good to reward yourself after you're done working on things. I'm always working on a million projects between my blog and like freelance work that I do. And it's, you know, I definitely still have like the American workaholic in me, but I think it's good if I give myself a reward. Like I'll go for a hike tomorrow, you know, if I finish all these things. So yeah. Emily from Canada, what are your favorite beauty products for travel? So Shape Tape Concealer by Tarte, and then also the Precisely Brow Pencil by Benefit. They definitely are kind of my go-to products just wherever, and like if I don't have them with me when I'm traveling, I don't want to be too harsh to myself, but I'm going to look a little bit rough. Let's be honest here. Yeah. Let's see. Domenico from Croatia asks, who takes your pictures and are you paying them? Yes, Domenico, thank you for taking a lot of my blog photos. I know you're kind of an unpaid intern right now, but we'll discuss your pay at a later date. All right, that's all I have for now, but if you have more questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to answer them. Thanks, guys.